You could be like me and not put any of your personal life, and then people really wonder what's going on. They always ask, why don't you put anything?
I've been wondering for years.
Have you seen these people?
I've been wondering for years about your personal life.
That's a lie. That's a lie because you know too much. Time for a round of Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box. It was reported this week that Christian Wood would be exercising his player option. Bucket or Brick, you are surprised that Christian Wood is exercising his player option.
To be a Laker again?
Yes.
Am I surprised?
Yeah. Are you confused?
No, I just get buckets, but that's a brick. Of course he did. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, injuries played a big part. I think he's happy here.
Yeah. Are you surprised?
No. I expected that. I don't know if that's a good thing for the Lakers, to be honest. I think he had a pretty underwhelming season, even taking out the injuries. Shot like he was brought in to be sort of this guy that if AD misses time, you could go to Christian Wood, who's been a 20 and 10 guy. And he really never, he might have had a couple of games where he flashed that. And maybe part of that is on the coaching staff in terms of putting him in certain positions to feature him more offensively. But he averaged 7 and 5. He shot 31% on threes. He did not have a good season. And really, some of the memorable moments were in the beginning of the season, where I think the Phoenix game, right?
Maybe a Clippers game.
He defended KD and the Clippers game early on. And but that we're talking about games in November. And, the season went till
at that point, I remember being
late April.
Yeah, so it seemed like he was such a great pickup. And then, like you said, it kind of fizzled out.
And then Jackson Hayes was the one who stepped up. So I think if the Lakers had their druthers, it would be Jackson Hayes staying and not.
What's
Christian
Jackson's
Wood.
Deal?
He's got a player option as well. So Jackson, Cam Reddish, and Christian Wood all have player options.
Got it. LeBron James and JJ Redick on the Mind the Game pod talked about end of game scenarios. Did you guys hear this?
I did.
I did not hear this one.
Went up 3 with less than 30 in the game. Both said that they would foul every time. Bucket or Brick?
Under 30 seconds or under 3 seconds?
Under 30 seconds. Up 3. They would foul every time. Bucket or Brick fouling quickly at the end of the game, up 3 every time.
I got to be. I don't remember LeBron ever doing that in his Laker tenure.
It was more so as the clock's low, winding down. They were talking about how good free throw shooters are, the scenario, the situations.
I think they had mentioned 6 to 8 seconds also as a reference.
Yeah.
I'm on board with the 6 to 8 seconds. If you're basically a one possession final, I'll go bucket.
Under 30, I'm not sure. I'm with you a little less.
Yeah, I don't know why that. Why is that the context? Is that just in general?
I think so.
Under 30?
I think that but to me that's a little bit too much. If
last possession, I think is what. What that means.
I think I would say under 10 seconds, I would foul. Yes.
Yeah, it was that Tyrese Maxey situation.
Yeah.
And
LeBron made a really good point. You got to foul as they're dribbling.
Yeah, I mean Maxey just hoisted from 35. I mean, couldn't stop him.
So
yeah, it's an interesting one. Again,
I'm on board.
The psychosis of what they get into on that podcast, and
they're in agreement.
They're talking about it because
did JJ just give us his answer?
He's going to coach
for every opponent. Bucket or Brick? The T-Wolves have cracked the Nuggets code. Shoot, they cracked it, or have they beat it to a pulp and buried it? I mean, in all fairness, okay.
The reason why I say they crack it, and I'm not saying they win the series, but I remember watching them play in the regular season down the stretch. The Nuggets won a really close game, and I thought that was going to be for the 1 seed because we were kind of looking where the Lakers were going to be, and I thought that was what's going to separate them and OKC. They were all in that little 3-way tie, final week of the season. But during that game, I said to myself, man, Minnesota can play with Denver because of the size, because of the wing defenders, and the way they can attack offensively. And I was the first time I watched Denver in that game going, man, all of a sudden they're not getting everything so easy. Jamal Murray's just not as free. Porter Jr. is just not as I don't know. He doesn't have that same moxie. So not that they can't beat Minnesota, but they've cracked it in terms of they have a formula. Now, execution is a different thing. But yes, they have the formula.
I agree. I've been pretty surprised, mainly because Minnesota's offense was so bad during the regular season that I thought even if they could slow down and bother Denver a little bit, it would just be like Denver's defense could hold Minnesota's
Enough.
offense better than vice versa. But to Geeter's point, it's been, I mean, you need the size and length against them. And honestly, off the top of my head, Minnesota might be the only team that is bigger than Denver. Like Denver is one of the big, I mean, they make the Lakers look small.
Yeah.
And the Lakers make most other teams look small. And like Denver and Minnesota might be the only two teams off the top of my head bigger than the Lakers.
That's right.
So like Minnesota's kind of the exception there with just all these wing defenders, all this length, the way that they're trapping and rotating, it's like, it's incredible. And then offensively, in Ant, like he's taken a jump to another level, but also specifically, like he kind of reminds me a little bit of LeBron in terms of his downhill ability. And we saw LeBron was able to get downhill at will against the Nuggets.
Good point.
Really live at the rim and score efficiently. That's what Ant has been doing as well. His jumper's also been there, so it's been like another development. But I think in terms of like, you need athletic guys who can attack Denver's defense. They have a really good team defense, but they don't necessarily have that like one-on-one athleticism. He's too big for KCP, too quick for Aaron Gordon. So I think Ant is a problem for Denver's defense. And then on the other end, you got 2 7-footers in that starting lineup. Jaden McDaniels, again, I think looks like the best defender in the league right now. And you just got all these other guards and wings that are swarming. So like, I think that is the formula to slowing down Denver.
Jovan, when a team's cooking too, guys are hitting threes from everywhere and everyone's on fire.
Confidence.
Like, who is this guy?
The
Momentum,
mindset,
like all that.
I read this quote after the Sun series where it was Alexander Walker, Jaden McDaniels, and Ant. And Jaden McDaniels said, we just look at each other going out to play the Phoenix Suns with their scoring capabilities, right? We just look at each other and we're like, who you got? Who you want? Because they have that much confidence in their defense that they don't care who's in front of them.
And Alexander Walker, I think, deserves a lot of praise off the bench.
To have that freaking mindset and mentality.
Yeah.
Bucket or brick, the Ant Edwards MJ comparisons are too much.
They are too much. For now, right? Like if they win the championship, then I think you can start making that. Even then, we're talking about arguably the greatest player, or at worst, the second best player of all time. So I think it's like a little premature. This is his first time getting out of the first round. You know, they were the 3 seed. It wasn't like they had some 65-win season where they were the 1 seed and like dominant throughout the regular season. Like they had a good year.
Yeah.
They were right there in the mix for the 1 seed. But it's a little like, to be clear, I see the similarities in terms of the athleticism, in terms of the mindset, in terms of even people have kind of put them side to side in terms of like how they look, how they talk. Like there are some similarities, to be clear, but I think it's kind of like anything. Like when a guy's 22, any type of comparison to like a top 5, top 10 guys is just too premature, in my opinion.
He's right. Slow down, but I'll bucket it just to go the opposite because of what
You have to brick it.
No, I'm gonna.
I said too much. He bucketed.
Oh, sorry. Then I'll brick it just for fun because I feel like I think what the comparisons are about. It does remind me a little bit of when Jordan was super young, and I'll never forget watching those games and what he was doing to Boston, because I hated Boston, and he was dropping 63 and going between his legs like 5 times on Larry Bird and like talking all kinds of like I love that, and I feel like Ant, what he was doing to KD and the way he was acting, and then the way he dunks, kind of looking like MJ. I can see why there are some comparisons, because this man's confidence is at that level, like you saw with Kobe and you saw with MJ. So I'll brick it just to kind of have some fun with it. But yeah, let's
I like that.
let's slow down a little bit.
I have a thought when this is over. I'll tell you. Bucket or brick, Lakers will retain their first-round pick for 2024 NBA draft. Pelicans can take it this year or next.
Is there no clue?
They'll retain it. Yeah, I think they'll retain it.
I'm gonna go with Jovan.
No, I think they're gonna try and trade it.
Love that.
I think they'll try.
That's gonna be me on the show tonight. Ditto.
They're gonna try and trade it though.
Because the
They're
Pels can
gonna trade
swap this year,
Yeah.
next year, right?
I think they're gonna try and make a move on draft night.
Got it.
What's the pick?
17.
And what's the Pels pick?
They're in the 20s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they're basically making a bet that the Lakers will
Are going to have
worse
a
next year.
worse next year.
Yeah.
And it's not a great draft this year, but
No, that's the other thing.
according to the experts. Okay.
Bucket or brick, we could see some heavy recruiting between players this summer at the Olympics.
Always. Bucket.
So I'm out of buckets, but I will bucket this brick.
Bucket.
I mean, yeah, like we now have a track record of since 2008, there has been team ups with some of these guys. And this is insane roster.
Doesn't stuff have to be done by then?
Well, like for future, I think future, like
Yeah, it
down
won't
the
be
road.
like
Oh,
this
it
year.
won't be this season.
No, but it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I'm up in a year or two.
So
Let's
boring.
get this thing going.
But I mean, it is interesting because like there are some older guys where I don't think Steph, KD, LeBron, Kawhi are going to be teaming up.
Yeah.
But you have, I mean, I think it's an interesting opportunity for the Lakers where I'm just going to
Float it out there, Jovan.
theorize here,
Yeah.
right? So you have LeBron and AD on the team.
I'm listening.
When is this
and
for?
For the Olympic
Talking about this
team.
year in Olympics.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
You have Jason Tatum.
Yep.
You have Devin Booker. You have Anthony Edwards.
I'm listening.
You have Tyrese Halliburton,
Yes.
although his stocks declined a little bit. But like, you have some interesting young players who are going to be stars for the next 5 to 10 years.
Who wants to come play with Anthony in 2 years?
Who wants to come play with Anthony in 2 years? Who wants to be the next? And frankly, probably who wants to be the next face of the Lakers?
Next face of the Lakers.
Of like, you get Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum. That guy is the next face. And as AD is going into like his mid 30s,
And LeBron's going to say, here's what it takes to be the next face. Can you deal with it?
That's the kind of the recruiting time. So that's just some like, I think this is planting some seeds for 3 to 5 years from now when some of these guys are going to be free agents or demanding out from their teams potentially.
Wow.
Just keep an eye on
I got you.
who's on this roster and if any of them end up being Lakers.
Jovan planting seeds over here.
See you in an hour for the show.
See you an hour for the show. Thanks to you for listening to the Lake Show podcast, presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast app. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions. Hit us up on X at Real A Clifton. Geeter3. What's yours?
At Jovan Buha.
At Jovan Buha.
Why'd you do it after
Bye.
you made the first one?
Do what?
Do it again.
He threw me a ball.
Oh.